Hi everyone. So I've been researching a lot about South America recently, most notably Venezuela. And in my research, I came across this video by Eleanor Goldfield from Act Out. I'll leave a link to this video down there. You should go to her channel and subscribe. She's really excellent work she does. She was interviewing this guy called Kevin Zeese, who's the co-founder of Popular Resistance, and he's just come back from Venezuela and he saw how the election process worked over there. And it's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating, because what we hear over here is totally different to how the election process actually is in Venezuela. For instance, if you type in Venezuela election process into Google, this is the first result. United States rejects, quote, insult to democracy as Venezuela President Maduro pursues second term. And that's from this article from The Guardian a few months ago. Venezuela elections, Maduro wins second term. Main rivals both declare poll, which was boycotted by the opposition, illegitimate due to alleged widespread irregularities. So this is the same as every story. Here's CNN. Opponents slam Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro's election victory as a sham. This is the New York Times. Venezuela election won by Maduro amid widespread disillusionment. And this is the good old BBC back in Blighty. Venezuela election, Maduro wins second term amid claims of vote rigging. So they're all saying that the process is rigged.
Meantime, the U.S. is calling yesterday's presidential election in Venezuela a sham.
Paula, I mean, look, I'm just going to ask you straight out because, you know, I'm guessing there was no element of free and fair about this election.
He even threw in a second country to potentially use our military in.
We have many options for Venezuela. And by the way, I'm not going to rule out a military option.
So let's look into it. This is Wikipedia. This is the Wikipedia page on Venezuela, specifically on their voting system. I suspect that this is one of those pages that Philip Cross hasn't got to edit yet. Maybe he spent all his time editing Eva Bartlett's page and Vanessa Beeley's page. But anyway, this is what it says of the Venezuelan voting system in Wikipedia, or on Wikipedia. It says, under the 1999 Constitution of Venezuela, all Venezuelans over the age of 18 have the right to vote. Now, just think about that. Do you have the right to vote in your constitution where you live? Venezuelans do. And because obviously they have a right to vote, it would make sense that they would put some stipulation in their constitution to say, hey, if you've got a right to vote, then proving who you are and proving your identity, we're going to make that process as easy as possible. And they have done. Article 56 specifies that everyone has the right to be registered free of charge with the Civil Registry Office after birth and to obtain public documents constituting evidence of their biological identity in accordance with the law. So when you go to the page, this is a great start. It's a great start. Do you have the right to vote in your constitution? Venezuelans do. According to the National Electoral Council, the proportion of the voting age population on the electoral register has risen from 80% in 1998 to 95% in 2011. I believe it's over 99% now in 2018. It's like 0.001% of the Venezuelan population are not registered to vote. This sounds pretty good to me. You know, at the bottom there it says voters register fingerprints and identity card details onto the electoral register, and these are verified during the voting process. So here's a video of them doing it. They've got the right to vote. They go in and their thumbprint or their fingerprint starts the process. That's before they even vote. They have to put their fingerprint. Now I'm not sure of the fingerprint stuff. It's a bit too big brothery for me, but this sounds very secure so far. Polling procedure. Again, this is Wikipedia. Since the 1998 elections in Venezuela have become more automated and administered by the National Electoral Council, with poll workers drafted via a lottery of registered voters. So all the people who work at the polling stations are drafted via a lottery of all the registered voters, which is 99.9% of the population. Polling places are equipped with multiple touchscreen DRE voting machines, one per mesa electoral or voting table. After the vote is cast, each machine prints out a paper ballot, which is inspected by the voter and deposited in a ballot box belonging to the machine's table. So you've got to put your thumbprint to start the process. Then you vote on the machine, which is standalone, by the way. It's not connected to the network at this stage, so it's unhackable. Unhackable from the outside. You would literally have to physically be there. But then it gives you a printout of your vote, who you voted for. You check it, verify it, make sure that it's voted for the person that you voted for. Then you put it in the ballot box. This sounds really good so far. The voting machines perform in a standalone fashion, disconnected from any network until the polls close. I've just said that. Voting session closure at each of the voting stations is given a polling centre is determined by either the lack of further voters after the lines have emptied or by the hour at the discretion of the president of the voting table. Voters register fingerprints and identity card details on the electoral register, and these are verified during the voting process. Voters sign a register to confirm they are voted. So after they've voted, after they've done all that, they then have to put their fingerprint again and sign. This sounds properly good. Is that how the tally scrutinisation works? It's amazing. It really is. It's, from what I can see, the best electoral voting system in the world. Now, after the count happens and the machines are connected to the network and it's uploaded to the centres, the voting centres, if you like. Obviously, this process, I assume, is very streamlined now. It looks like it's a well-oiled machine. But then 54.31% of all the voting machines are randomly audited. So over half of all the voting machines are then audited against every single vote in the ballot box on that mesa electoral. So over half of the machines are then checked. They check the machine against the ballot box. This is done by people who are selected via a ballot in front of full view of the press who record it and many onlookers and observers who are also picked via a national ballot. It's astounding. This is the best system in the world. So why is it that we're still seeing headlines like I've shown you that are saying that this process is rigged? And this is unriggable as far as I can see. There's no way to do it. It's interesting that I found this from The Guardian from 2012. They don't talk like this anymore. Why the US demonizes Venezuela's democracy. They don't talk about this anymore. This was back in 2012. Here is what Jimmy Carter said about Venezuela's dictatorship a few weeks ago. President Jimmy Carter. As a matter of fact, of all the 92 elections that we've monitored, I would say the election process in Venezuela is the best in the world. Well, if it's anything like I just read out from Wikipedia, you're damn right it is. Carter won a Nobel Prize for his work through the election monitoring Carter Center, which is observed and certified past Venezuelan elections. But because Washington has sought for more than a decade to delegitimize Venezuela's government, his viewpoint is only rarely reported. His latest comments went unreported in almost all of US media. I'm assuming, because this is from 2012 and the Venezuelan elections were a few months ago, I'm assuming The Guardian made big points of this in all their headlines. No? That's one of them that they put up during the elections. In Venezuela, voters touch a computer screen to cast their vote and then receive a paper ballot, which they then verify and deposit in a ballot box, which they then, once they've done that, they go out, put their thumbprint again and sign. And then I assume get a sticker that said, I voted. How's that for democracy, America? By the way, how's your electoral college doing? This system makes vote rigging nearly impossible. To steal the vote would require hacking of the computers and then stuffing the ballot boxes to match the rigged vote. Unlike in the US, where in a close vote we really have no idea who won. See Bush versus Gore. Venezuelans can be sure that their vote counts. And it's true. Think about American elections. Think about cross-check. Think about all the purges that they made, especially in states that Trump marginally won. It's interesting to see how the foreign dignitaries have reacted to Maduro's win in this election. Because remember, the opposition, they forfeited it. They didn't put up anybody. Somebody was put up at the last minute, I think. But it was all done to delegitimize this process. It's all done to say, hey, it's rigged, so why bother coming out? It's just to delegitimize the process. And it looks like it's worked. This was from Reuters. After the election result this year, the United States will not recognize the Venezuela election result. State Department. So the US won't recognize the clearly one of the safest and most accurate and most unriggable election processes in the world, if not the. This is from the Telegraph, where Nicolas Maduro filmed victoriously waving to an empty plaza after sham election. Really? I'm going to check this. I'm going to check this story. And if that's not true, I'm going to do a segment slamming the Tory graph for this. In that article it says this: speaking from the G20 summit in Buenos Aires, Boris Johnson, who I still can't believe is our Home Secretary. It's like having a cartoon in your cabinet. Oh, Americans will know all about that. The Foreign Secretary acknowledged that more sanctions could be necessary. More sanctions for the safest, most unriggable democratic process in the world. Venezuela is an absolute tragic story of people kept hostage to a defunct ideology, he says. And bingo, there we go. Defunct ideology. I'll come to that at the end of this video. And then we got the Lima Group, an organisation of 12 American countries that aims to devise solutions to the Venezuela crisis. I wonder which 12 American countries. An organisation of 12 American countries. Okay. Are they South American countries that are aligned with the US, such as Colombia, by any chance, that are funded from the United States? I haven't looked into it, but I'm betting my ass that that's the case. They said this: these elections don't comply with international standards of a democratic process that is free, fair and transparent. Lima Group, I just read out the process in Venezuela. And I'm sorry, but that is the very definition of a democratic process that is free, fair and transparent. So why is this? Why do our media not tell us the truth? Why do our media not highlight the fact that, hey, this can't be rigged? It can't be rigged. Why don't they talk about these things that I'm talking about now? These things that are freely available. This is Wikipedia I'm talking about. Well, here's 297 billion reasons why not. Venezuela has the largest oil reserves in the world, totaling 297 billion barrels. And the other reason is this guy. And his name is Simon Bolivar. And I'm going to be talking about him a lot in the next video, because I'm going to be talking about how the American imperial machine is trying to crush democratic countries in South America, who are trying to find a different way and a different lifestyle, a democratically elected different lifestyle. Something that is not war, something that is not based on disaster capitalism like the US economy and the war economy like the America. I'm on their side in this from what I've seen so far, and hopefully after watching the next video you will be too. If you enjoyed this video, please click the bell down there and subscribe so you get a notification of next time I drop a video. Also, I can't do this without your help, so if you can afford it and you enjoy my videos, please support the channel by subscribing to my Patreon. Link is down there. You can do it for as little as $1 a month, and it really does help. If you can't afford it, that's fine. Please share my work and talk to other people about the issues that I bring up. Thanks very much for your support. Until next time, peace and take care.